Welcome to the Maps for Kids Showcase. I'm your host, Tierney Tinnin. The City of Oklahoma City is more than 10 years into the Maps for Kids plan, which was developed and approved by you, the voters, to improve education in Oklahoma City and the surrounding areas. Currently, 43 Oklahoma City public school sites have been completed so far, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done as we begin the construction and design phase of all of the district middle schools. An exciting part of Maps for Kids is the construction of 4 brand new school buildings for Oklahoma City public school students and staff. The newest school in its inaugural year is Cesar Chavez Elementary School. It celebrated its grand opening in November, and in case you missed it, here's a quick look at the festivities. On today's show, we're going to take you inside the new Cesar Chavez Elementary School, which is in South Oklahoma City, and we'll highlight features of the building and the education strategies and partnerships that are being used to prepare students for a successful future. Joining us today is my friend, Dr. Laura Morris, who is also the principal at Cesar Chavez Elementary School. Thank you so much for joining us on our very first show.
Thank you for having me, Tierney.
Well, just a little bit of history. We know that you were at Capitol Hill Elementary before Cesar Chavez, but you did have your hand in the designing of the new building. What was the most important thing you wanted in this new school?
The most important things that we considered when talking about design were color and light. The Hispanic community that we serve is a very colorful community. They love vibrancy, and we wanted to make sure we included that in our building for our children. And then we wanted to have a lot of natural light in our building because it just makes the day better, and it improves learning when children are exposed to more natural light.
Something else when we were talking, when I interviewed you before this show, you were very specific on the location of the media center, which is, when I was in school, known as the library. So tell us why we were so specific of where it should be and why.
The media center for us is the hub of our building. It's the center of learning in our building. Not only is it filled with books, but it's filled with materials and resources, computer technology. Our computer lab is right off our media center, so our children always have access to information that they need to improve their academic accomplishments, and also just because books are so wonderful.
And I know that parents in the community, they want to make sure that our students are in a safe school, and they deserve to be in a safe school. So I know that security measures were also taken into consideration. So without going into too many specific details, tell me about the design of the school in regards to the security.
In order to enter our building, you have to come through the front entrance, which faces west, and then go immediately into the office, because the doors that you go through to get into the actual building are locked. That way we can control who comes in and out of our building so that we can protect our children.
And I know earlier you mentioned about the culture being a really important part of the design of the building. And if folks have an opportunity to go and visit Cesar Chavez, if they look down, there's something very specific that you all included to show the culture.
That's our toro, our bull. He's right there when you walk in, and he's a fierce-looking animal. We love our toro.
And also, when you walk down the hallways, the colors used on the floor are very representative of the Hispanic culture. Was that something that you were also hoping to add and thought was important?
Yes, very much so. We wanted, again, to make sure that our school was vibrant and colorful, and people felt welcome and warm and could have a sense of community there.
Cesar Chavez is one of our largest elementary schools, if it's not the largest. And this is one of the few buildings in the district that's 2 stories. So how has that helped you with your large enrollment?
Having 2 stories keeps us together but apart in a sense, simply because we have so many children, but we want our children to feel like they're in a community so that they're together, and having the 2 stories allows us not to be spread away from each other.
This is the inaugural year for Cesar Chavez, and for a lot of schools they have the history of alumni and can look back to the past, but not the case for Cesar Chavez. So how are you and your staff able to instill pride in the students there now and also for the future students in the community?
Well, we've worked really hard on making sure that all of our children and our families know that they are toros. The children had a hand in selecting that mascot. And in schools, that's really an important thing to use to build pride and a sense of community. So we really focus on our toro, and we call ourselves toros. Our T-shirts say everything is about our toro, our bull.
And you know, I haven't seen a lot of schools that have that mascot. So how were you all able to decide on that mascot?
The children at Capitol Hill, our student council got together right after we started the design of the school, and we talked about who Cesar Chavez was and what he did and what were some of the important things not only to him but to the Hispanic community and the kids. At first they wanted to be the Chihuahuas, and we decided that that probably wasn't
I
the
don't
best.
know if that was a good idea. I like the toros better, I have to say.
Yeah. So we decided that toros would be good just because they represent a fierce and spirited animal that the kids can identify closely with.
And I know that Capitol Hill Elementary had a large enrollment as well, and so you were able to pull some kids from that school to start the new Cesar Chavez, which is why they were involved in that decision with the toros.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Well, the cosmetics of the building is not the only aspect about Cesar Chavez Elementary School that Dr. Morris can brag about. Her students and staff are using innovative methods to educate students. We will take a short break, and when we come back, we'll discuss what's going on in the classroom. And coming up a little later, we'll introduce you to another guest who shares a special partnership with Cesar Chavez Elementary. But as we head to a break, here are a few scenes from the Centennial Celebration and Grand Opening event at Lee Elementary School. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Maps for Kids Showcase. We've been talking with Dr. Laura Morris, principal of the new Cesar Chavez Elementary School in Oklahoma City. And Dr. Morris, we talked about the amazing way that the building looks, but you also have had some amazing visitors inside the school to really help the kids with their curriculum and the educational process.
Yes, in October we were lucky enough to have Space Camp come to our building and work with our 3rd through 6th graders. They built a module of the International Space Station out of PVC pipe, shower curtains, and plastic tarps. It was amazing. The kids got to learn all about asteroids, meteors, how space travel works. They learned about the International Space Station. They made flags. They made space suits. They did science experiments. And then the culminating event, as if that weren't enough,
exactly.
was to put on a play of an actual spacewalk where they had mission control set up with light brights, and the kids went into the space station and they had their spacesuits on, and they came out and they did something where they had to fix part of their little module, and they absolutely loved it. The educators from Space Camp were so complimentary of our children. They said that they had never had children who were that enthusiastic and that focused on an activity, and they loved our kids, which is not hard to do.
Exactly. I've been inside your building, and I was actually there for that event, and to see them blast off bottle rockets, it was just amazing to expose those students to science in a way that was really fun. It was educational and probably something they had never experienced before.
No, and they still are talking about it, and we're still working with the professors from Oklahoma State University who brought this to us. And in fact, we're anxiously waiting to find out who the winner of our essay contest is, because they're going to win a trip to Space Camp.
Oh, nice. I also know that you had some folks from the Natural History Museum to stop by. I don't know if you can compare which one was more popular with the kids, but they both sound pretty exciting. So tell us about the Natural History Museum project.
They came out and talked about being an archaeologist.
Oh, interesting.
We started our school year talking about exploration and what it was like to be an explorer and why we have explorers. And they came out and talked about being archaeologists and going on digs and finding dinosaur bones.
So from space to dinosaurs.
Exactly. We ran the gamut, and they brought out actual bones. The kids got to touch a Vesilio skull, and they loved that. They loved hearing about it, and they loved being able to ask questions of somebody who's actually dug up dinosaur bones.
And I know you have a high English language learner population at your school, and that seems like two projects that are interesting for the students and could, bypass the language barriers are there. What other ways are you able to make sure that the students who have those language barriers are still able to grasp the concepts that they need in elementary school?
We use the arts a lot to do that, through creativity and reading different stories, enriching their vocabulary, but letting them express themselves and really talking about what they're doing with their art projects, how they came to decide that they wanted to draw a picture of Androcles and the lion and then make the set for that. And we're currently in progress on making a movie of a Greek myth, and they're going to have costumes, they're writing the script, they're learning how to play the music, and so we're hoping to have it done by the end of the year. My ELL staff is working very hard on that, and the kids are absolutely loving it. We also have some opportunities for them to engage in guitar and chess and other things of that nature.
And I know when the community sees this show and hears about all the amazing things going on at your school, they'll want to be involved. So how can the community get involved, and what are some of the needs that you need from the community at your school?
They can call us, or they can contact Rachel Taylor at the administration building for Oklahoma City Public Schools. She's the volunteer coordinator, so she'd be an excellent person to contact. Or they can call us. We need everything and anything. We need people. We need stuff. I have a kindergarten class right now that's using trash to make farm animals, so we need trash. We need just about anything and everything, and we're always willing and welcoming with anybody who wants to come in with an idea that might fit what we're trying to do.
And for those folks that do want to get involved and you need to contact the volunteer coordinators, that number is 587-0000, and they will make sure that you get to the right place to help those students in need. The partnership between the school and the community is very important in the educational success of our students. And when we come back, we'll take a look at a strong partnership that sits right next door to Cesar Chavez Elementary School. But right now, here's a look at the grand opening celebration at Britton Elementary School. And you'll notice a very famous bison stopped by for the festivities. We'll be right back.
Could you stand a little fun in your life? Then look no further. The Oklahoma River Cruises tour the beautiful Oklahoma River. You can enjoy a fun-filled, family-friendly, climate-controlled adventure you won't forget, offering public cruises, exciting theme cruises, and private cruises tailored to your needs. Book your fun-filled cruise today. Log on to okrivercruises.com. Oklahoma River Cruises. Get on board.
Welcome back. In 2009, the Oklahoma City Educare Center opened its doors to serve 200 disadvantaged children ages birth to 5 years old. The Educare Center helps young children grow up safe, healthy, and eager to learn. The city's first Educare Center was built right next to the site of the future Cesar Chavez Elementary School. Joining us on the Maps for Kids Showcase today is Malana Means. She is the Director of Early Childhood Services for the Educare. So thank you so much for being here, Malana.
Thanks for having me.
And I don't have to introduce the two of you because you are like this already. You work very closely together. Can you talk to us about this partnership and how it all started?
Sure. Well, we knew Cesar Chavez would be next door to Educare, and that's why we built Educare there. Part of the Educare national network, every Educare is built next to an elementary school with the idea that we'll have a birth through 5th or 6th grade campus. So families and children can start with us and then go all the way through 6th grade right in the same on the same campus.
And I do not have children, so I know a lot of people are wondering, what type of lessons are you able to teach a child who is maybe a month old that will help them when they get to Dr. Morris's school over at Cesar Chavez?
Sure. Well, we know some of the most important brain development happens between the ages of birth and 3 years old. So, so much is going on in a baby's mind at that point, and there's so much we can do to really help build attachments with their caregiver, help their parent know about parenting skills. It's not just about working with the child at Educare. It's a real comprehensive program that's working on different health needs, family needs. So it really is addressing the whole child. And by the time they get to Dr. Morris, then they should be more prepared and ready to learn.
How much interaction do the two of you have, I guess on a daily or weekly basis, to make sure you all are in line and you're feeding her what she needs? And I know that the students that come to your school will end up at Cesar Chavez.
Sure. Well, I think on a daily basis we have children that go to Cesar Chavez for extra services, some developmental services. So we're already partnering like that every day with them. And just the communication on a daily basis really does help bridge that partnership. So we've done some field trips together. We went to the Civic Center together. I think, how many pre-K kids?
I think we had about
hundreds.
Yeah.
It probably seemed like millions.
Yeah, it did. It did. I think we had 10 buses full of children who went to see Knuffle Bunny.
That's right.
Yeah.
They had a lot
We had
of
a
fun.
great time.
Well, and I've been to both of your sites, and I have to say it's really hard to focus when you see all of those sweet little faces that you have. But I also was able to see a collaboration classroom. So can you talk about that? Because I know it's really a great, strong partnership in regards to the teachers and the students that attend both of the schools.
Well, we know there's a huge need for pre-K services in Oklahoma City, so we offer 4 pre-K classes. And they are Oklahoma City School collaboration classrooms, and Cesar Chavez has 4 as well. So that just means that we can serve that many more children in the community. And then us partnering like that, we are meeting the same standards and providing the same kind of educational services. We're just able to do it for more children in the community.
And how does that help you, Dr. Morris?
It helps us because when they come to school more ready to learn, we can take them further than they could go if they weren't ready to learn. And we're delighted to have Educare next door to us, because what they're able to do is provide more opportunities for their students that they need to have so that they can come across the parking lot.
And I visited the site, and shortly afterward, I had dinner with friends and was telling them about the program, and immediately they're, oh, really, how can I enroll? So I'm sure you have a waiting list.
Oh, we do.
And so please provide some information for folks who are watching the show that are going to be interested, of course, in the program and the services that you offer.
Well, unfortunately, we only have 200 slots, or 212 slots at Educare, and we have at least that many on our waiting list. So there's a huge need for this kind of service in Oklahoma City. Unfortunately, we just don't have that many spots, but we do what we can. So to get into the program, we are looking for children and families that otherwise would not have this opportunity. So our main, who we're reaching out to, are really families that, and children that are perhaps at risk for school failure. So we do have certain criteria you must meet to be in our program, but I encourage anybody to call us and ask for more information, and we're happy to walk through a wait list process with any family.
Does it matter if you are in the boundary of Cesar Chavez? Does that weigh into the decision process?
It does somewhat, because we do want that to be a pretty seamless transition to the school, and we know there are just so many children in the community that want to go to the new school, that want to come to Educare, so we do try to keep it in the community, but we do enroll children outside of the Cesar Chavez area as well, just knowing that they may go back to their home school, and that's fine too. So
is that one of the ways that you're able to bridge the gap between the enrollment and the recruitment, to make sure that it fits the needs of the kids of Educare and also Dr. Morris over at Cesar Chavez? Mm-hmm. That's how that works.
Right. So, we try as hard as we can. We do a lot of recruiting in the neighborhood surrounding our schools. But we are looking to serve children with the highest needs. So sometimes that means they may be outside of the catchment area of that school district, but or Cesar Chavez catchment area. But we still work with any families in the Oklahoma City school area.
Through this partnership, what have you learned from each other that benefits you, that benefits also Educare and the kids? What have you learned from each other?
I think really what I've learned from Malana and being next door to Educare is really just the joy of little bitty kids. I've always focused more with older kids. That's just who I am. But when you're out and you're doing dismissal and the train comes by and the 3- and 4-year-olds are playing out on their playground, and they all run from one side of the fence to the other, and they're yelling, "Train!"
That's a sight to see.
You just can't help but smile and be happy. So I think I've learned from Malana the joy of little bitty kids.
What about you?
Well, we love to see this has been the first year, but just already knowing that the kids look next door and they're very excited to go to big school next year. That's just really exciting to see, and be able to work with their families and have that collaboration. It's very important.
Well, I love both of the sites, and you all set the bar extremely high for the very first Map for Kids show. So thank you very much for being here. I just want to thank them so much for joining us for the Maps for Kids showcase. This show will air monthly on City Channel 20 and highlight programs, improvements, and partnerships that affect our city schools. For more information on the Maps for Kids project, visit www.okc.gov. And for more information on Oklahoma City Public Schools, visit www.okcps.org. Here is a look at the upcoming Maps for Kids grand openings and groundbreakings. I'm your host, Tierney Tinnin, and thank you so much for joining us.